Welcome to the Influencer Show with your host, Trishawn Ben Salmi.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Influencer Show where I interview people who can help persuade you live life in a number of different ways. I'm your host T7 and today we have a very special guest with us. So if you'd like to introduce yourself to listeners and let them know a little bit about you.
Hey, I'm Joe Noya. I'm the founder of Inspiration Nation, do coaching, do speaking, do blogging, do training. I'm out there really to inspire the world. That's really my mission. And so that's what I do. And that's really what I've got my own podcast. So there's a lot of stuff that I do, probably very similar to Trey a little bit. But say that's me. Is that all right, Trey? Yeah, how's that?
Definitely, amazing. And why don't you share with the listeners why you do what you do?
I do what I do because I believe everyone needs inspiration in their life. I've done a lot of deep work, right? And for me, I always looked around for inspiration. Anywhere I joined a business, where's inspiration? Why am I doing this? Where's inspiration? That's my top core value. So for me, that's why I do what I do. I want to inspire people to look at their lives and to be better. That's why I do the coaching. That's where the coaching comes from. That's where leaning to fear comes from. Because, we all have one life. And so to live your best life, you've got to feel inspired. You've got to find it from somewhere. You've got to have a spark. And that's where my passion comes from. And I just love seeing it come alive in other people. And so I'm very passionate about it. I say it's my overarching value that, something that I found was a hole in my life, in the whole of my life. So even going back to, when I was very young, I didn't recognize it. But obviously when I look back at my life, all the things I watch, all the things consume, had a story of inspiration around them. Like the films I watched, the books I read. I didn't recognize that not until I got further, like to this age, it's getting on a few bit in years now. But looking back and reflecting and doing that like what we call deep work about really searching inside yourself about why the stories that you have, what's the thing that drives you, and finding that. And for me, again, all the things that I like to do is like to help people find that, find their inspiring place, so they can go and live their authentic life in the whole world, whether it's their career, whether it's a business, whatever it is, to live that inspired life, because this life is so short. And I feel like I'll run out of time. So I've got to get out there and I've got to share this message. So thanks, Trey, for having me on, because I'm hoping, well, I know it will, but this message is going wider now because I'm talking to you.
No, definitely. I definitely think that's important because you touched on several key things there, really. But what really stand out for me was how you spoke about just having that purpose and having that passion. Because then by having those two, you simply know what it is that you have to do. You then have that set focus, that goal, that intention, and you go away at the end of the day knowing that these are these little objectives that are then getting me closer and closer every day to my dream, my goal, and just helping me to have that impact on a large scale, as you said.
Yes, day by day, every day. I mean, I'm very much into self-development. I mean, that's what it's about. It's about every day you get up and do your best. Not every day is going to be your best day, right? The test comes when you're not having your best day. We can all be great when things are going great. Is when things aren't going great, what do you do? What do you lean into? And that for me is the test. So, people say, "Oh, I'm feeling great. Everything's going well." But when things are the crash, what do you do? That's really where you get the growth. When things are difficult, when things are hard, can you still, not in a fake way, but in a really honest way, distill the lessons from the difficult times you're going through, and how you can lean into them? And I think that for me is where coaching comes in. That's where the conversations are happening. And so I run the podcast. We talk to, we have Lee, myself, and Ryan on the podcast. And so we talk about these things, everyday things that everyday people will go through every day, like having a difficult conversation with your boss, or, had an argument, or, how do you respond to it instead of reacting to it? Those types of things. It's the little things that stack up in the day which determine what day you're having. So it's being conscious almost like at every point in your day, right? I've had an argument with my sister. I've had an argument with my beloved. I've had an argument with my, it's in that time. What do you do? How do you respond to that? And it's having that awareness, because people tend to react to things. And I did that for a long time. And it doesn't help because you're bumping into things. You have no sort of, I'm not saying you have control, but the only person you have control over is yourself. You have no control over the people you're with. You have no control over, you know, your closest people, your mum, your dad, your sister, your loved ones, your partners. You don't have any control. People think they have, but they have no control. All they can control is themselves. You may influence, but there is no control. And I think, you know, people get frustrated because they want to control the situation and they can't, because what they're not doing is focus on themselves and doing the inner work, which is so important, because it is all in a game. Get it in the game right, the outside starts to change. And it took me a long time to realize that. But it's all about inside. And so even last night, I had someone on my podcast, and you know, they're running a multi-million pound marketing company, and they're still growing. They're still, you know, I make mistakes. I still don't feel confident in some situations. I want to be better. Sometimes I don't feel fulfilled. So there's people who seem successful on the outside, but there's still a lot of work going on. They're doing great. Don't get me wrong, it's doing great. But there's still a lot of work to go on. There's still a lot of clarity to be had. And it's what we're all going through at some level. We're all trying to seek that clarity. Now, happiness is the game, right? We all want to be happy. Human beings are after feelings, right? It's not about stuff. People rely on stuff like external things. Oh, if I get that car, I'll be so happy. If I get that, really, that happiness lasts for such a small space of time. You get used to it. Like you get a new phone, I'm really excited. Week later, it's a phone, right? You're just using it. So it's all about the inside gains of how do you do that every day? How can you just lift yourself up? What are the tools you use? What are the routines you have? And those are things that will determine what type of life you have. In fact, right now, this is our life, right? It's not what just happened a second ago. It's not going to happen in about a minute's time, right? This is right now, as we're talking with Trey, on the Influencer show right now, this is our life. My focus is on Trey. That's it. Nothing else. You know, not projecting out there, not looking back there. Every minute, this is our lives right now. And the thing is, people go and live in the future. They'll be thinking about something they're worried about, and that's their life, right? They're always thinking and worrying, or living in the past and feeling really sad because they're reliving and causing pain in stories they've had and reliving that past. So it's important to remain present where we are now. You know, there you go.
Definitely. Like just being present is something that's so key. And then not only by doing so are you able to obviously bring in and attract better things, but then it also helps us to become more grateful and just become more aware of just how important time is. Like, for example, like beforehand, I didn't quite understand. Like, I thought, it's fine, I can do it tomorrow. But now it's then changed the perspective as to, yes, I could do that tomorrow, but then that wouldn't be a productive use of my time. So it's about just being able to understand how beneficial it is just to use the time that we have now, because like tomorrow is never truly guaranteed, really.
Yeah, we don't know when our next breath's coming, right? I'm taking it for granted. I'm going to breathe in a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on. Here it comes. But that's it, isn't it? We take it for granted that we're going to take our next breath. And actually, that's not guaranteed at all. I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Who knows? Maybe this might be like my last podcast interview. It may be, right? We don't know. And I do feel that as I've got older, and it's lovely that you've got this awareness where you are at your stage of your life, because it's going to stand you so much good stead as you go forward. Right now, I mean, you know, where you're talking is so much more aware than when I was. It's like I've got two daughters, and they're so much more aware than what I was, and so I'm passing those lessons on. And that again, as part of my mission is to do that, is to shift people to do the work right now. You know, don't wait till tomorrow. You know, get the idea, you go into action. You don't wait, you just do it. You just keep doing it, build momentum, just keep building on it, and don't wait. Don't overthink. Don't look for perfection, because perfection will procrastination. All that stuff, just get out there, start doing it, get practicing, just keep doing practice. And with that, you'll get better at whatever you do. You'll get more interaction, you'll build momentum. And then as Tony Robbins said, one of my favorite coaches, I'll just put his look. This one is one of the books that I read, one of my first coaching books, The Unlimited Power. I carried that with me to one of my very first coaching events. But he talks about, if you just take a little bit of action, you create a little bit of belief. If you create massive action, just keep taking action, you're going to create that action muscle. It's a muscle that you keep taking And from those results, you'll start to build, and you start to build belief. And from my perspective, you start to feel inspired and doing all these things, right? So that's my view on it. But no, what you're saying there, it makes total sense.
No, I definitely agree with that. Just because then, like, having that, just exercising that muscle, you then get better at it, and then also things will then start to fall into place at the end of the day. And what would you say has been like the biggest influence on you that you wish you had known sooner?
The biggest influence on me is really recognizing that there is lots of possibility. Because I didn't have that at a young age. I just was going through, reacting through my life, and that caused my depression and things like that. And so the big influence on me was my depression, because it caused me to wake up a little bit. It was a horrible time, a very dark time, but it caused me to rethink and reevaluate everything, because I didn't feel I was having value. I was just like, I was on the treadmill, I suppose, getting up, going to work, coming home. And it's not that I didn't have a lot of stuff. I mean, of course I did. I had a lovely family. I have a house. People said, why are you depressed? It's like, because I didn't feel in myself that, what am I doing all this for? What is it? Like you say, what's the purpose? So the biggest influence on my life has been that illness. And so I have come out of that, probably 10, maybe 15 years ago now. But I'm still aware of it, and I can still, feel bits of it. But it's not depression. It's just I recognise the signs. So I have tools and things that I do. But I think everybody suffers from it at some point. They just don't recognise it or not aware of it. And it's important to pick it up early. And if you work on yourself daily, you're going to, that's one of my missions, is to make sure that people don't go to that dark space, because it's very difficult, it's very hard. And I want people to avoid that. So I suppose I want to help people recognise that with this information, cram I suppose my decades, which is probably 20, 30 years of experience, and cram it into like this hour of podcast, right? So people get the value, so they can do the work now, so they don't have to face that. There are going to be challenges of their own, right? We all go through our own challenges, but I don't ever want anybody to go through the dark spaces that I went through. So that's the biggest influence. Probably that illness that I had. It was on and off for a bit, a couple of years, good few years. Got better, then went down again. So it was all a bit of a learning curve. And again, that's why coaching and everything like that helped me, finding my core value, inspiration, which is really quite a recent revelation, to be fair. But about a couple of years ago, I found that. That's what started the podcast, kicked up my YouTube again. So again, I'm doing daily videos. It's all about the content. I'm really trying to shift people emotionally to recognize that you can have the life that you want. Now, it's not guaranteed, but what is the best life to have is working every day on something that you love. You're working towards something you'd love to do. It's not guaranteed that, hey, the podcast's going to go global. That's what I wanted to do, right? It's not going to get, but working on that with that mission in mind, or doing the smallest things possible to make that happen, that's a great life. That's an amazing life, because you feel engaged, you feel passionate. And having that end thing would be amazing, but actually it's that never ends. So it's going to be global, it's going to be, it's infinite, right? So it's like getting out there in the world globally. So there's no real end game, but that's the exciting part, right? We don't really know where this podcast is going to go, right? We don't know where this could go viral, it could go wherever, right? But that's the beauty of it. That's what I love. That's it. And I think if people can recognize that working on the stuff that you love and that you're passionate about, creates your life. This is our life right now. What you're doing now, you're doing your passion to interview me, and I'm loving to be here, giving you that energy. This is a great life, this right here. And that's really, those types of influences, those types of things are really important. And I think people are afraid, people are scared to lean into that. People are afraid of people's opinions, right? They're afraid, if I put that out there, people are going to say, you're going to get that, right? You've got to lean into that, because there's going to be people that are going to love it, right? You probably get it on your YouTube channel, and I've had it on Twitter. I've had people retweeting some of my stuff. Well, this is rubbish. It doesn't matter, because these people, if we get people like that, we've got to recognize with empathy, where must they be to consume your content, to put comments like that. So it's empathy really for those types of people, because they're still consuming that something's gone on in their lives to cause them to behave in that way. So we should always treat people with empathy and compassion. And that's how I tend to try and look at it. Never used to. Again, it's a learning curve, right? Because you look at it and your instinct goes, oh, that's not very nice. Your brain reacts to it. Your amygdala, which is your emotional part of your brain, wants to react to it, like fight or flight, right? That's where you've got to be aware of all this. So it's really about, like you say, responding rather than reacting to situations. So there's a lot there. I know I've talked a lot, but the influence is there. There's tons of that in there for you.
No, I definitely agree, because you touched on like many key points there. Really, just about like being able to understand that yes, you may be going through things, and people may not be able to understand that, and sometimes people may then put those comments and stuff like that. But it's about being able to understand where they are coming from, because yes, it may seem, oh my gosh, it's so bad they're saying this, but it's about being able to understand what state they must be in to then be saying that, really. Yeah,
100%. It's so important because people are suffering, right? People are going through their own challenges. You've got your own problems. I've still got my own problems, right? We've all got them, right? And they're individual to us. So here's another one of my beliefs. Problems are designed for us to grow. They're there. They're put in our lives for us to grow. We're only going to get that next level when we're ready, right? Right. So with our podcasts or our YouTube channels are only going to explode when we're ready, because it's nature, right? You've got to work for it. You've got to put in the work, because the reason you put in the work, because you've got to get better. You've got to add more value, and the more add value, then you'll gradually get there, right? If you blow up, it's because you put in the work. You've got to that level, and nature will give that to you because you're ready. If you go there before you're ready, it's going to be you're going to fall back down again. So she's going to give you that when you're ready. Now, everyone's got their individual set of problems. I don't know anyone. I don't care who you are. You can be Tony Robbins, right? You can be Tony. He's got his own problems. It doesn't matter where you are. You're Warren Buffett, billionaire. He's got his own problems. Bill Gates got his own, but they're a different set of problems for individuals. And if everyone can recognise that my problems are there for me to solve, are there for me to grow, what are the lessons I can distill from them? You're not always going to win, and actually, a lot of the lessons come from when we don't win. When we don't succeed, that's where we get the gold, because that's where we learn, right? If we won all the time, if it was easy, you wouldn't value it. If we said, "Oh, I tell you what, I put a couple of YouTube videos up and it's going to blow up," oh well, that was easy, wasn't it? You're not going to value it as much as if you put in the work, and then you cherish it more. You understand what it takes to get there. You understand the roadmap, and then it makes you appreciate that thing more. And that makes you want to do more. If it was easy, you go, well, that's it, I've done it now. That's it. What's next? So it's always important to have, I think, a goal that's really scary, and maybe it's quite infinite and it looks quite big, but really just distilling this down to the smallest action you can take on that day. So this is what used to scare me, right? I used to be scared of telling people, hey, I want things to blow up. I want it to be this, I want it to go like a massive platform. One, people's opinions, and two, because what if I don't get there? I may not get there, but it's okay, because you're working every day. So it's important just to know that it's okay to try and fail. That is, you try, you fail, and then you get success, and then you build on that. But never, ever, ever give up. If it's a passion that you have, that's fine. But the thing is, if you want to build something, you must love it. If you don't love it, don't do it. And I think a lot of people may be doing things for the wrong reasons, and that's why coaching is really good as well, because people are going, well, I just want to do it because I just want to, I don't know, be an influencer or be famous or have lots of money. Now, money's important, but it's not number one. It's just really important to recognize you should be doing it because it's something that's you. We all have gifts. Like, you've got a gift, Trey. Like, you doing this is your gift, right? And you're using your gift. And people sometimes don't recognize everybody's got gifts. One is recognizing what those gifts are, and that's what coaching does, and having talks like this does. And second, you've got to craft your gift. You can't it just doesn't work. You've got to keep working on it, crafting it, molding it, and keep working every day to get better and better and better. And Tom Bilyeu, I don't know if you know Tom Bilyeu, he talks about how we adapt as humans. And we are adaptation machines. He talked about junk DNA and said that, well, the junk DNA used to think they thought was rubbish, but actually that junk DNA is how we adapt. It's how we become the apex predators, how we can try and learn things and we become good at them because we practice and we become good. We're the only species on this planet that can do that. Like, a horse, when it's born, will always be a horse. Right? A bird will always be a bird. A bee will always be a bee. It can't be anything else. Whereas humans can actually do so many different things. And I think that's what really gets me, because there's so many people with so much potential that we need to wake people up, right? We need to, look, you've got so much potential inside you that you just got to work at it. Yes, it's hard. Of course it is. But you've got to work at it, because you've got a massive amount of potential. And the harder you work, the more effort you put in, you're going to get results. If you keep practicing, you're going to practice and get better. There you go. A few bits and pieces there. I know I feel like I've gone a little bit there, but I just think it's important that we do wake people up. And I think this is brilliant. Things like this, where we're talking about potential. And I mean, if you on the website, it's about potential. I want people to fulfill their potential. What is that? It's limitless, essentially. It's whatever you want it to be, right? So I'm really keen on. I've seen so many people waste their potential, and I'm very, very passionate about that. I don't want to see people waste it.
No, exactly. And then like just being able to see that potential and actually seeing that waste potential, that actually really hurtful, because then you're then realizing that yes, potential is absolutely amazing if you have that gifted talent, but then without putting that consistent work in, then it actually goes to waste. So it's just about having those right people around you who can then grasp, who can then nurture, who can then preserve and actually look after that, so it's then able to blossom, as opposed to it's just about like having those right people around you. For example, like that saying where it's like you're a product of the people who you spend the most time around. So it's just about being clear as to what you do, who you're with, and why you actually do the things you do. Because like at the end of the day, without a purpose, without a vision, without a mission and an end goal, we are actually like living a meaningless life actually. And what would you say has been like the pivotal point along your journey, and what did it teach you?
Well, it was the depression. That's what taught me that hard lesson. That was my pivotal moment. That's when I woke up, essentially. Like you said, Trey, it's like having a purpose, a mission. I didn't have one. I loved helping people. I was helping people because I was managing a team in a corporate organisation, and I was helping people. But I wasn't aware of that I was doing it. There was no awareness about it. I just genuinely like doing it, and I've always done it from I suppose quite a young age when I think back. From being in a football team, I've always wanted to help people. So it's just been a constant throughout my life. So I think depression really was the pivotal moment that started all the sort of self-development. It's not been an easy road either, because it's been on and off. So you go to my website, look at my coaching blog. It's like there's bits of it, then it stops, and it stops for a year, and it starts again. And like the YouTube channel is the same. It's like it starts and it stops, and so it's all these pieces that are. So the depression was the pivotal moment, but then there's more sort of pivotal moments as you go through and you grow, because you think, well, if I do this, doesn't work, and that doesn't work, and then you fall off, and then and it's only you learn more lessons, and you're not ready for the message yet, or whatever it is, and you get back on it. But this definitely for me was the illness that was the pivotal moment, and that's when I got into coaching and self-development. But it still was, I still had a lot to learn. I still got a massive load to learn now. I mean, even though I feel like I'm running out of time, I've still got tons to know. I still can be better. I think I'm great, good, but I could be tons better, right? There's still so much potential. Like it's just, I think I've just started, and that's the thing for me. I just feel like I've just started, and it's, So that's what I think. That's what I think. It's the infinite thing. I think Simon Sinek talked about his book, Infinite Game. I don't know if you've read that, but if you're viewers, you want to get that book, Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. It's just about how you constantly improve, not comparing yourself to others, but just continue to improve yourself. What can you do, today that was better than yesterday? Just the small increments, just be a lot, just something a little bit better each day. And it's not always going to work, right? So for me, it was that pivotal moment, was the illness, and recognizing that actually, there is a way out, that you can be better and you can be stronger. And I didn't think that at the time. I couldn't see it. I just felt it was a big hole and I couldn't get out of it. So I needed to get help, proper help. I had to admit it to myself, which was really difficult. Because I don't want to admit it. And at those days, and it's much better now, Trey, but back in the day when I was working, it was almost like a taboo subject, right? Okay, oh, depression, ooh, that, and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite difficult, but it was great because had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be here talking to you now.
Exactly, yeah. Mm. No, definitely. I think that's something that people actually they don't understand the importance of just being able to look back on the things that you've gone through and how they've actually shaped you into the person who you are today, really. Because just when it comes to, especially people around my age, they often feel like they have their whole life ahead of them. They have all this time on their hands and stuff to worry about. But I think it comes back to that quote, which people say a lot. It's about prevention is better than cure, having those things in place beforehand so you don't have to worry about it. Just being able to understand that if you work now, you can play later, as opposed to play now and work for the rest of your life, because you're constantly trying to catch up on those things that you missed out on.
Yeah, classic E.T. Eric Thomas quote, that one. I love that. If you watch Tim, he's great. And he's saying, you were playing and I was doing the work. You were going out and I'm doing the work, right? He's just yeah. And it's true, right? You have to pay the price there. So Bob Proctor, I really like some of his stuff. He just says things like, it's really important what you choose to work on, because you're swapping your life for your goals and your dreams, right? So choose something that you love, right? Now, look, sometimes you're going to choose something and maybe you're not the best at it, right? You can still work it. You're still going to be so. It's just getting that balance as well. Not being unrealistic, but being realistic and saying, what is it? How is it working for me? Do I enjoy it? And then working with that. So again, it's just finding out more about where you are, your gifts, and finding them and working them, but not being unrealistic. So, it's unrealistic for me to say, hey, I'm going to be the next Michael Jordan, because that's just not going to happen. And why not? I'm not going to grow 6 foot, right? But I can adapt. I could play basketball better, right? But I'm not going to be. I recognize me realistic. I'm not going to be Michael Jordan, right? So it's things like that. I think we have that perspective of that. But what we can say is that we are limitless in the fact that whatever our gifts are, whatever we want to pursue, we can pursue and see what happens. And Tom Billy talks around trying lots of different things. If you don't know what you're passionate about, because I ask this question, what do you want? I ask that question a lot, especially with people around your age, because I work with a whole ream of ages, right? And when I ask people, they don't know. I said, what do you want then? I don't know. If you had no limits on the world, what would you want? I don't know. No one's ever asked me that. And I think it's a big question, right? What do you want? And so people aren't clear on that. And when you know no clarity, you don't know really where to step. And that's one of the first questions you need to ask yourself. What do you want? What's the thing that's going to fill you up? When you wake up every day, what's the thing you'll be working on that's going to make you feel excited about your life, right? And these are all the things that create that momentum.
No, exactly. I definitely agree. I think it's something that people just need to see the importance of just getting clear on your why, and just by doing so, you're then able to set daily intentions, and you then constantly see how those small insignificant steps, at least they could seem insignificant at the time, have had a huge ripple effect. And there's something that in trading, we often think of things like compounding, and how, yes, it may seem small, initially at the start, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, it's only, I don't know, a couple £100 here and there. But then over time, by seeing that grow and grow and grow gradually, it then actually subtotals to a substantial amount. And I think that's something that it can actually work both ways, be it good or bad. For example, you may have those bad habits, and if you don't tackle them when they're actually young, they're fresh, it's a lot harder. It's like weeds, really. Yes, they may seem like really easy when they first come, but then when you give them that time to then grow their roots and spread wide, it becomes a lot more of a trickier problem in the long run, really.
Yeah, because we're very habitual. Humans are very habitual. We love routine. We love safety, and hierarchy. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We look at, we want safety and belonging, and then actually, as we go up the pyramid, we get to self-actualization, right?
Yeah.
So there's a book. I read tons of books, and there's a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits. I don't know if you've read it. I don't know if your audience has read it, but if you haven't, go read it. It's very, very good. So he tells you how to install habits, and it's about the micro habits, exactly what you said. So it's about the small things, because look, right, I'll give you an example. I was no good at press ups at all, right? At all, no good at press ups. Could probably do about, I don't know, 2, 3, right? Proper good press ups. I've been doing now for about, it's slow progress. I've been doing about a couple of years. So now I've got to about 50 press ups, right? And that's because every day I'll get up and I'll do press ups every single day. And again, it's to prove to yourself that this stuff works. So you just do one or even half of one, or on your knees, doesn't matter. Just start doing something, just get a version of it. And gradually over time, like you said, it compounds. Now I can do 50, but I couldn't jump out of bed having not done it and just jump out and do 50. That's just impossible. It's not going to happen, right? I'm not going to do it. It's not going to happen. So again, it's like if I want to go for a run, right? I'll go running. I might do a bit of running, and I've done running and sometimes do running videos. But I can't just go out and do a 5-mile run. I'm going to have to run maybe for 30 seconds. It might even, James Clear talks about it. So if you want to go running, the best thing to do is make it easy for yourself. So if you want to go running, people say, oh, I can't do running. Well, you first got to set your environment up for success, okay? So that means putting your gym clothes out the night before. So when you wake up, it's easy. Just pop it on and away you go, and you go out. And then maybe just putting on gym clothes on at first. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go running yet. Just put the gym clothes on. You do that, get back out, do it. And then next time as you go, then you get out the door, right? That's the next step. It's another micro step. And then as gradually, then you might walk for a bit, maybe 30. Then you start to run, maybe for a minute, and you gradually stretch it. And that's how you get it. And this is what you're talking about. And it happens with any habit. And as you said, with bad habits as well, you've got to recognize what's the things that aren't working well. And you need to sort of find something that counteracts that. What is making you do that? What is the trigger? And then setting up your environment so you can't have that in your trigger. Now, there's a guy called Evan Carmichael that I listen to quite a bit. And he has a bag of Doritos in his background. And he calls it the Dorito test. Was it damn the Doritos? Because he doesn't want to eat the Doritos. So he just keeps them there. So he wants to prove he's stronger than Doritos. So he won't eat them. He'll just watch them. But he'll prove to himself he doesn't eat them because he's stronger than them. So things like that. Whatever works for you, use that. Some people don't have to have it in the house. Get it out of the house. Whatever works. So it works in either way. So if you want a good habit, install it by making it easy for yourself to do it. Give yourself a chance, right? That is really what the key around it is. But yeah, daily, small action. And as Stephen Covey said, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, is start with the end in mind, then work backwards. And work backwards. And as you did, take the smallest action possible to get started. But no, I totally agree with that.
No, definitely. And what are your sort of like views on the word legacy, and what legacy would you like to leave?
Legacy, I think, is important. I've got a family. That is one of the things actually I was talking. When I was going for bad times, what am I here for? Like, I want to make. I suppose for me, I want to leave this place a better place than when I was born into it. I'd love to make a dent in the universe, like Steve Jobs says. I'd love to do that in my own way, in the Inspiration Nation Joe sort of way. Together with Lee and Ryan on the podcast that I've got. Because I think it's important for me to leave something behind for my family for sure. But ultimately, I want to leave something behind that helps people, that can recognize. So look, things like this is going to go on YouTube, and it's going to be there forever, right? So hopefully people can tap into that and go, hey, this is what really helped me. So leaving something behind that leaves the place in a better place than it was when I was born into it. That's what I want to happen. And just help as many, many people as possible through the content that we create. So yeah, I think legacy for me is important, and just working at it each day. Absolutely, 100%.
Definitely. That's just as you said, just working at each day. It then gives room for improvement, and actually just reassures you that yes, I may have achieved all of this, but there's always room for improvement. There's always room for change. There's always room for that different perspective.
I agree with you. Now, there's a lot of things around this as well, because when people sort of talk about coaching or self-development, they think, oh, it's not for me because I'm good, I'm great. You can be better. If you think you're better, if you think you're great, you need to look at yourself. So how can I be better? Right? If you think you're good, you can be better. As soon as you have gone, I've made it, I'm the best. That's when you start to contract. That's the danger area. That's when you're comfortable. And only growth, and I know it's always said by a lot of people, growth comes from the stretch. Actually, I call the comfort zone. It's the comfort zone is, it's I don't know if I could say the word, but I would say it's almost like your death zone, right? It's where everything dies, like in your comfort zone, because you're not growing, you're not doing anything, you're staying where you are, right? It's where you're not growing, so you need to stretch. Now, I'm not saying don't appreciate things, okay? You want to be grateful for what you have and appreciate things, but there's always But there's that thing about being grateful, but also thinking, I'm happy where I am, but I know it can be better. There's got to be a nice balance between the two. I want you to go out there and be panicked by anything. I don't want you to like stay small. It's just, there's a nice, lovely stretch zone, which we need to be in. So we should be looking to push ourselves. And as another book, David Goggins, I don't know if you've heard of David Goggins, Trey, but if you haven't, and if they haven't on this channel, please go check him out. He's got a book out called You Can't Hurt Me. I've got some books here today because a lot of influences, and it's recently discovered about a couple of years ago. But he basically does very, very difficult things, very hard things, like crazy hard. But that's where your growth comes from doing the things that scare you. So like if you're scared of going to go and speak, just try speaking to a couple of family members. If you're scared of doing a video, YouTube, just do a YouTube. If you want to do it and you're scared, just go do it. Idea to action. And the more you step into that, that's where your growth, that's where you're going to go. Do you know what? I'm proud of myself for that because you did it. So it's leaning into those things. And David always talks about you get growth from suffering, right? From the things that do. He's gone extreme, but again, he's got his version of problems, right? You've got yours, I've got mine. We've all got our own, but we're stepping into them and executing and really finding out what's going on here to push yourself to actually create new pathways, like you said, like shifting yourself out of the bad habits into good habits, into habits that are going to help you grow. That's the game. And the game, when you do that, is the happiness comes up because you start to feel proud of yourself, to start to build momentum. You start thinking, look at your life in a totally different way and say, hey, there is more to this. There's a lot more to this than I thought. And again, that's how you gain that self-awareness. But yeah, I'm not sure if I asked your question there, Trey. I just went on. I just, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in that question.
Definitely. That's definitely important. Then by doing so, people are then able to simply just understand themselves a lot better and actually what they want. Because once again, as you said, they're then able to have those intentions, those goals, and then they go into and out of every day knowing that this is what I've done, this is what I want, and this is how I can go about doing so. And just being able to work backwards, it then makes things a lot easier because then sometimes with some people, by working the opposite direction, it just makes things a lot simpler for them, really.
That's the thing I struggle with because for all the stuff that I'm creating, I have got a really big vision. It's really big, like where I want it to go, but it's scary, right? It's scary, but it's just like you say, it's starting with the end in mind and working backwards and just doing the small things too. A lot of people don't get started because they make it big, which is great, but they don't know where to get started. So it's like starting with the smallest thing. So like, you want to blow up on YouTube, start recording YouTube videos. Want to write a blog that's going to blow up, start writing. But people don't start because, I've got to have the right computer or I've got to have the right camera. No, you've got one of these, just start. Just literally pick it up, start recording, go. Literally, it's that. It's literally building that. And yeah, you know, your first videos, they're not going to be great, right? It's recognizing that the first things you're going to try, then everything's going to suck. It's going to be terrible. But that's the point, right? You can't expect to be brilliant first go. If you are brilliant at the first go, you should have started a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
You should have started a long time ago. So it's just about that. It's about people always think, I haven't got the resources, I can't do. It's just, what have you got? Be resourceful. Right? It's not about resources, it's about being resourceful. What can you start? So if you've got a computer, if you're watching this right now, look at me and Trey. We've got a Zoom call going on, we're recording, it's going to go out. Boom, that's happened because Trey's reached out and gone, right, you can interview, right? And that's what's happened because Trey's stepped into that and going, well, I'm going to reach out to people and start talking to people about this because what are people's views? And again, you know, I'm learning from this conversation. We're going to come out of this conversation, two different people to when we came in. We're going to be slightly better because of that conversation. And that's what I love about this stuff. So that's what I'd say about that.
No, definitely. That's definitely important. Just about like being able to utilize what you already have as opposed to constantly wanting more. Because like, as you say, it's not about your resources, it's about your resourcefulness and being able to then utilize the people around you, your knowledge, and just everything, like your life lessons, and then combining the two to really put two and two together to then have an array of opportunities at the end of the day.
Yeah, you're right. It's about the people you surround yourself with as well. Like you said, I think you said earlier as well. It's so important to really be mindful. I'd also say, you know, when I said about environment, so people around you the content you consume as well is very important. So I did a social media audit. So I only have stuff on there that fits with my core value, inspirations. I'll only like add things on there that I find inspiring. Like, so every morning, if I'm like doing my videos, which I do every morning, I'll look through it and I'll be liking stuff that's constantly feeding my mind with things that are inspirational. So, you know, whatever speaks to you, make sure you audit that. So audit the people around you, who's giving you energy, who's draining your energy, who do you need to spend less time with. You know those people, you know them. You just think you might be committed. And that, look, it could be family. Like, it could be a family member that's really bringing you down. Now, Trey, you know, like, if we look at the people around us, like, we're doing these videos, and like, you know, people who want to achieve something big are probably some of the most ambitious people in their circle, right? But there's going to be people who've got your best intentions at heart, but they're going to say, hey, you know, you sure you're going to do that? You know, and those are the, you know, they're well intentioned, but they're not going to help you. I'm not saying, you know, they're not, you know, because they don't want you to get hurt. But that's the key, you know, that's really sort of trying to choose people that are going to be realistic, but support you in that. Because there are going to be people that are going to be like that. It's like, don't do that, you know, because they're living in the zone of fear. So they're already thinking, don't do that because I want to stay safe. And they're going to put that on you. And then you're going to start to feel that, oh, I can't do that because of, oh, this might happen, that might, and you're not going to take any action. So I'm not saying you don't spend time with them, just saying how much time you spend with them. And people say, oh, you'll never do that. Oh, you'll never happen. Those types of people are the people that have already given up on their dreams, and they're trying to give that to you. Now, you know, there is realism, of course there is, and creating your dreams is blooming hard, very difficult. But that's the point. It needs that. It has to have that if you're going to succeed. And another thing I'd just say to you is that you see people that are successful, right? What you don't see is the story behind that. They've gone through a ton of failure. You take people like Steve Jobs, started off in a shed. You take people like Elon Musk, you know, started with nothing. Like, he started on a computer on his desk. You've got Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, you've got an early picture of him with the desk with Amazon written on his wall, literally from nothing. That's where they started. And so if you dig into the stories of people super successful, they started off with less than you. Oprah Winfrey, inspirational, influential, world-renowned speaker, amazing lady. She was living with a maid, wearing potato sacks. Now look where she is. Like, literally, there is lessons. And Trey, it's so lovely to have you on, because this is what it's about. People go, oh, look, this is right for them. They've got this. No, they didn't. Look at the backstory. The backstory, they put in a ton of work to get there. There are certain rules to success that you have to follow. You're not going to get there unless you follow that. There is a path, and the path is work, is every day, is passion, is energy, and just keep trying, keep going, build momentum. You're going to fail a lot, but it's how you bounce back from failure. Have resilience and keep trying, keep going, build momentum, all the people around you, and just keep going.
I definitely agree that that's so important. And then by doing so, you're then able to look about the story behind the story. You're then able to magpie some of those ideas, those tips, those resources, those insights on their story, then see how maybe some of them you can actually relate to them, and then learn from those teachings so that you don't have to go down that same path. You don't have to go down that same road. You don't have to try and overcome those obstacles, because you've already seen how it plays out, how you're able to overcome them a lot more smoother, with a lot more ease, and with wasting a lot, without wasting a lot more time, really. And
yeah,
what advice would you sort of like give to those who may be looking to just start something brand new?
First of all, what is it you're starting? Do you love it? Have you tried it? What are you trying to do? Like you said, Tracy, it's understanding why you're starting it. A lot of people start doing because they want to make money, right? There's nothing wrong with making money, right? We all need to earn money. We need to go and get a job, right? Whatever. But don't do it just for money. If you do that, you're going to burn out, because people who are passionate and love are going to crush you. They're going to crush you. So it's important to try lots of things. It's important to understand why you're starting what you're starting. If you now decided that, yes, I've tried it, I'll go a little bit deeper into that. Good. Has it got some passion going? Do you feel that energy? So chase energy. This is giving me energy right now, right? Talking to you gives me energy. So I know I'm on the right path, right? if this didn't give me energy, doing videos and speaking to people like yourself, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't, because it's draining me. It's not. If I was just doing this because I want to get famous, or I'm just doing it for money, it's going to burn out. I'm going to burn out because I don't love it. So it's important to recognize why you're doing it. If you're doing it, just start in the smallest way, whatever it is. So have the big vision. I would say you're starting something, create an exciting vision for what that would be. So every day you can wake up, maybe look at it and go, why am I doing this? You can look at something you've written out and say, right, this is why I want to do it. And then start building. Start in the smallest way you can. I don't know what it is, wherever it might be. I don't know. We talked about blogging, right? If it's a blog, start the blog, start writing. Okay, what it is, pen and paper, whatever, but get it up, get it out there, give it to people. It's so easy to start a blog now. If it's writing a book, start writing a book. Just start writing. Don't look. You've got lots of YouTube you can go and look at, but you just start. Just start writing. At least start writing. Anything. It could be anything. Literally, just start. You can start. And I'd say, like you said, Trey, it's like going to look for people, look for models, and see, what other people are doing, what's worked, what's not worked. But if you're interested, you're going to love to do that. And that's the key around it. It's just learning from those types of people, but recognizing as well that you just got to get started, like, in the smallest way. And don't try and be perfect either. Just start. Don't judge it. Just start it. Because when you judge it, you're going to stop yourself. Perfection is the enemy of progress. So just start. That's what I'd say to people.
Definitely, that's so important. Just about like get it done and then get it right at the end of the day. Right? It's just about like putting in the work and just understand, like, yes, the initial, like, the results that you wanted, they might not show up at the start, but it's about then working towards that, then looking at the results, analyzing what you can do differently so you get either achieve it or get closer to it each and every step at a time, really. And could you share with the listeners where they can find you if they'd like to find out about any upcoming things that you may have?
Well, me, yeah, you can find me. You can find me at janecoachingnoise.weebly. You can find me at janecoachingnoise.weebly.com. You can find me on Twitter at janecoachingtech. You can find me on Instagram at janecoachingtech. You can find me at inspirationnation.org.uk. We've also got at listen2in on Twitter, listen2in on Instagram. Also got TikTok account at Jane Coaching Tech. There's also Snapchat. So I'm all over the place. Videos every day. So I've got the blog that's going on. So I've got a newsletter, so sign up to that. So I try and send emails, weekly emails out to inspire people, referencing all the content. So if you sign up, you get to look at all the content. I'll just point you that direction. But YouTube for sure, Jane Coaching Technology. Go and look at that channel. Subscribe to that, and also Inspiration Nation channel is there as well. So there's tons and tons to get you to see. There's tons of content. Literally, I think we've got on the podcast, I think we're over 70 episodes now. And so, yeah, so I've just done an interview, which is really exciting, about the marketing for, I just said, Mark Dragas going up shortly. So that's a really good interview. So, as I say, just tip into that, but there's some great lessons. And as I say, it's like trying to distill all the lessons, but not only just for people who are like making multi-million pounds, right? It's like people every day, right? We've all got lessons. Doesn't matter the monetary amount, it's about what we do. When you're going to work, you feel anxious, there's stuff in there for you about that. Going for careers, starting businesses. We're actually using the Inspiration Nation as a case study to start, right? We didn't start with anything. We just got a couple of cheap microphones, start recording a podcast, right? So we share all that. We're just showing, we want to prove to people through the journey that it's possible. You just got to start. So I know I'll put a bit more lesson into that, but that's where you can find me anyway.
Definitely. I really do urge you listeners do go and check them out. And Joe, why don't you share some last words of encouragement for the listeners?
So what I'd say to you is just never give up. Try lots of things. Don't think that the thing you're trying is the ultimate thing you're going to have. Be flexible with that. If you don't love it, don't do it. I'd say just start with the smallest things possible and just never give up. Always have resilience in your bag. I would say there's a couple of things that I write. I write a journal every day. So have a good installed habit and have a journal where you can have something where you can write in there and you're going to be happy. You're going to have enthusiasm and you're going to have that drive of resilience no matter what happens. Like you say, Trey, let's be honest. When you do stuff, you ain't going to get no results. When you do videos, no one's going to be watching your videos yet, right? No one's going to be watching your blog, but that's the thing. It's not about the results, it's about the process. It's making sure you enjoy the process of the creation. That's the key. So do that in an inspired way and recognize you have to just put in the work to get that, and that just live an inspired day every day, and no matter what happens, just keep going and never give up. That's what I'd say.
Definitely, that's really, really true and really, really key. And I really do urge that you listeners are actually letting that in. And I'd like to thank you for coming on the Influencer Show today.
Oh, thank you, Trey. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it, because it's been great. Really enjoyed it, and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you very much, and thank you for letting me share my message with people as well. So thank you.
Definitely, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and also like to thank you listeners for sticking to the end. And as I said, once again, please do head over to all the different social medias and go and check out the YouTube channel. And there will be links in the description. And please, 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 if you have any questions, feel free to comment them in the below. And I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.